Hello, everyone. I am going to be reviewing and sharing my thoughts on Kacey Musgraves' fifth studio album, Deeper Well, just released last week. Kacey Musgraves has always been a country artist first and foremost, but has been trying to expand her sound, her sonic palette, since the huge blow up success of Golden Hour, which of course landed her not only a ton of critical acclaim, but also popular acclaim due to her Grammys Album of the Year win the year in 2019. That was a really inspired winner, album of the year choice winner for me. It's one of my favorite album of the year winners of the last decade. And Golden Hour is one of my favorite albums of Kacey's and one of my favorite kind of pop country albums of the last decade as well. But then we got Star-Crossed in 2021. And by the way, I have reviewed Golden Hour. These will be linked in the description. I also reviewed Star-Crossed. And Star-Crossed definitely saw her wanting to branch out from the country strumming on the banjo style. That album had a lot more experimentation with synth, with psychedelia. There was some drum and bass kind of being put in there. It was a really distinct project, one that I don't think actually ended up coming across as polished of a package. I think there were some amazing glimmers of sonic exploration on that record. Shout out to There Is a Light. That song is still such a mesmerizing, marvelous feat for her in terms of her musicianship and her ear for like her sonic ability, but also the instruments that she's choosing to incorporate in the music. But then Deeper Well is very much honing back into a really kind of stripped back acoustic fireside country singer-songwriter folk lane. I would say it's more folk leaning than fully on country. The guitars are super wistful and crisp, and there isn't that much else packaged into the mix. There's some synthy keys on Deeper Well. There's some spacey kind of synth work on Jade Green, but overall it's the guitar and these very kind of mellow, soft, calming vocal, lulling you to sleep in some of these melodies. And I will say this album it feels kind of featherweight and like it could blow away in the breeze just by how I think light in terms of, aspiration, but also in terms of the sonic elements included. It's just a guitar, it's just a featherweight vocal. It's not something that feels that, heavy, bogged down with bass and all that. It's perfect for this time of year. When the album came out, we had, it was 70 degrees and it was like, we are in spring, coming out of that hibernation state for the end of winter. This album really speaks to sort of feeling feeling the wind on your face, smelling the grass, feeling like the sun a bit through the clouds and being like, oh, winter's almost over. So it was a wonderful time of year to feel it. Golden Hour came out at a similar time of year, and it had a similar feel for me. It was just the perfect coming out of winter album where I just felt the sun on my face and was just lifted off by these featherweight melodies. Lyrically, this album is exploring, where she's been kind of post-divorce, because that's what Star-Crossed was all about. How that relationship that on Golden Hour was potentially blooming ended up falling apart. This album is about finding an inner peace, not necessarily purely with a man, but also just with the world around you. But this is a very kind of, similar to Ariana Grande, a Saturn return kind of record. She even references her Saturn returning on Deeper Well. So it's interesting, we have two albums back together that are talking about this. Now, Kacey is considerably older than me and Ariana. Kacey is, I believe, 35 years old. So her Saturn returned a little while ago, if we're going by that trajectory. But still, it's in the same kind of general aura stage of life. I really will say, I think I like the title of this record because Deeper Well obviously is referring to, I think, predominantly place where you can find water or a source that's deep in the ground. And her claiming that she is finding something deeper means that she's finding something perhaps a little bit more striking at the core of herself, or something that can be a little less able to be tainted, because the deeper the well, the stronger probably the source. That's the sort of metaphor I think she's going for. But I also love how it also stands for a deeper wellness. And maybe that's what she was mainly going for. I'm not sure which. I think both apply. A deeper wellness, a better way, a better sense of wellness, a deeper state of being that is more connected to wellness, mentally, physically, spiritually. All of that is coming into play. And the opening, the title track, the melody took a little time to really sink its teeth into me, but the opening, the title track really does a good job at grounding the sonic palette of the record. And like I said, those little shimmering keyboards that pop in here and there really kind of evoke like spring flowers poking up out of the ground, similar to how she looks in that music video. By the way, she shot that music video in Iceland, which I thought was really interesting. A lot of people like to film there. And, she is cosplaying kind of Americana, but also very folk, like out in the cabin. We are picking our own vegetables. It reminds us all, of course, of what Lorde was doing with solar power. It's very much an anti-urban sentiment, embracing the earth. And I will say that I've seen some people say the way she markets that feels a little insincere, selling. I'm really interested to smell these candles that she markets. And apparently the vinyls that she's selling smell like these earthy kind of scents. And I mean, I'm all for a scented candle. So I'm like, maybe I'm going to have to get that. Because she's been selling a lot of these. She's been marketing this sort of, kind of back to roots, paganistic, kind of earthy, folk core kind of aesthetic and candles and stuff like that with this record. But then we have the album cover where her lips, which, it's more so the lipstick, but perhaps also the fillers that she's had, really give Jennifer Coolidge. They really give, those autumn influencer girls who cosplay going out into nature with their Fendi bag and their really expensive jumper. And in Steve Madden boots. I get a little bit of that vibe, like comes to the forest to take a photo shoot. I think that if she had not worn any lipstick, it would have just read a lot more sincere and a lot less, I don't want to say comical, but when I first saw that cover, I did scratch my head and go, that was a choice. That was a choice. I don't think that those lips are going for the right aura with what she wants from this record. I much prefer the other album art that I think is for the physical editions or for a certain sect of the physical editions. It's very Christina's World for the Andrew Wyeth, painting inspiration of her curled up in the field. That is so much more primal, connected to something, and does not have the sort of pastiche of that makeup and lipstick over her. It needed a natural look. It needed a natural look. So with that, all of that critique out of the way, what do we got here? Well, I believe we got 14 songs, and boy, do these songs fly out of your hand as soon as they're in it. They're like a leaf you can't quite catch because it keeps blowing in the wind by how light they are. Barely any of these songs cross the 3-minute mark. Only 7 songs out of the 14 cross the 3-minute mark, and most of those are just barely by a few seconds. A lot of these songs are under 3 minutes, so they roll by real quick. And I would have liked for a few to have a little bit more staying power in that regard. And sonically, they all do start to sound a little similar. I would say the ones that sonically do not stand out to me as strong would be Moving Out, Giver, Taker, Sway, and Nothing to Be Scared of. A little bit deeper well, but I think because that was the music video and the big single, it started to, lodge itself a little more firmly. Sway has an energy that would evoke what you would think a song title like that would, but then it devolves. The layering is a little off to me. I get where she's going, but it just doesn't gel. The harmonies aren't gelling. The vocal layerings aren't gelling for me in a way that they could. So that drags the song down just a smidge. Give or Take Her lyrically is one of the most powerful in talking about the dichotomy of what a lot of us probably find when we're in relationships. And really drives the point home, but she does it in a way that feels not vindictive, but just like very aware. There's such a mature awareness of when things aren't working, but not being petty. She just is so wise beyond her years as she comes off on a lot of these songs. Cardinal, speaking to, alluding to perhaps a guiding, guardian angel, someone from above, watching over you when you appear, a cardinal appearing, especially waiting for spring. That energy is so much at this time of year, which really spoke to me, and it's got a Fleetwood Mac sound. There's definitely also some Dixie Chicks. I get a lot of Dixie Chicks vibes on this record. I know they're called the Chicks, but I like to call them Dixie Chicks because I don't really think, well, anyway. Jade Green is my favorite. Once I saw that title, I just had a feeling I would. It comes after Heart of the Woods. So we're getting into that really earthy, touch the dirt, walk the forests kind of, walk the forests naked kind of energy. And this country lilting guitar just kind of wants to invite you off into the unknown. I want to bathe in the moonlight until I'm fully charged, come into my power and heal the broken parts that I carry. Like the bracelet that you bought me, I want you on my arm, calm, cool, and protected, and keeping me from harm. I think all of us who have a penchant for wandering off into the woods felt very spoken to in the lyrics here, because it's just a special kind of solace that you find deep in the forest, and you want to keep it with you at all times. And this is a song that evokes so much wanderlust in the listener. And then the other standout for me is The Architect. Melodically, this one just soars off the page. It's fireside. It's something calming for everyone to listen to, and it's wistful. And it's, a spiritually calling song of, pondering the mysteries of the universe and what created all of this. Was there a purpose? Can I speak to the architect? Lonely Millionaire is the other song that has a little bit more of a pop sensibility. I will admit it's catchy. It's got a good hook. I will admit that sometimes when I hear people sing about how money cannot buy you happiness, I roll my eyes a little bit if they are of a certain income level. And Kacey is, she's not Beyonce, she's not Taylor Swift rich, but, she's comfortable, right? She's comfortable right now at this point in her Nashville home. And, I don't know. I always think that money is true. Money is not the be all end all of life and happiness and self-worth. And money can't buy you like authentic relationships. That's important for you to always remember. But money is such and resources, I think, is the better way of framing it, is the ultimate sort of thing to cage yourself from restriction. And freedom, which is most best represented from by having a lot of money, to me has never felt like a cage. But then again, I have a mindset of someone who's been always kind of struggling for money. It takes a different kind of mindset when you start realizing that there isn't a such thing as having too much money. I hope I never get to that place. I hope I will be content to have as much money as I need and never want more than I really need. We all like some nice things, but there's a line that you can cross. And that's really what we're talking about with these millionaires and these billionaires. Bernie Sanders' voice. But yeah, A Lonely Millionaire, it's something we've heard a million times. And it rings true for a lot of people. But sometimes I listen to it when I look at my bank account and I go, oh, the things I could do if I had $1 million in my bank account. Like, I feel like all my problems would just disappear. And I know that's not true, but a significant chunk of my problems would disappear. And you're deluding yourself if you're trying to think otherwise, if you're trying to, belittle that. So that's just what I have to say there. Material wealth does bring a lot of support, a lot of good things into your life. Let's not kid around here, okay? Not, especially as someone who's an artist, someone who's not, I'm obviously very triggered because I'm going off about this. As someone who's an artist who has had a hard time figuring out a way to make my work, turn into monetary value, the conversation around money, to me, money is the ability and freedom to actually make what I want to make with my life. And that is the greatest gift that you could give me. So I will never, turn down money. So anyway, but you can have too much. Anime Eyes, I love how she references Miyazaki. We know that Kacey Musgraves is a Miyazaki girl. She also references Sailor Moon. The way that she delivers the bridge is obviously a little bit in that vein of pining anime girl energy. I don't know how else to explain that because it's very ecstatic and exuberant and girly. And Anime Eyes, again, I think this song would have fit so well on Star-Crossed because it's exploring a little bit more of that psychedelic country sound that she was, so much in vein with on their previous record. The other standout, of course, is Too Good to Be True. Melodically, this one just rolls off of you and it keeps you in the waves, the lull of the waves. It's like being swept away in the ocean. It's a really simple song It's a really simple song lyrically. But Kacey can get away with it, and just take you by the hand and just stroke all of the right places. That sounds really dirty, but you know what I mean by that. Her voice is, sometimes I wish that she would go into her higher register in other places that she doesn't as often, but her lower register, she's just so buttery smooth in delivering these lyrics, and she's not trying to belt anything. Everything's just like calm, chill, cool down. Okay, let's get that heart rhythm. Let's get that heart rate down. That's what this record is, and it's wistful is a really good way to describe it. And a breeze on the face, and some sun after a long winter. So Deeper Well is definitely an improvement over Star-Crossed overall. I would say definitely sonically, I would say overall an improvement. It's going to be hard for her to match the hype of Golden Hour. This album isn't, Star-Crossed isn't a bad album, but because it was so different from what we'd expected from her, and it was trying so hard to be something different, it sort of became this sort of thing that I think some Kacey fans, scoffed at a little bit. And so I respect Star-Crossed for what it was. I don't think it has that many songs that I'm coming back to. Like I said, there's a couple, but this album is definitely going to have a little bit more staying power. I think that Golden Hour just knew how to make the song stretch out a little bit longer to really let you marinate a little bit more in what she was cooking. And there was maybe some richer instrumentation. There was a better blend of that airy ambient synth country sound. This is a little too stripped back, and songs are a little too thin. But overall, I think that this is a return to form for Kacey. Not that she's ever really dipped below any sort of line that would can be considered not good music, right? Kacey is just one of those auteurs. And so I'll be really excited to see, how this does commercially, critically. I see it getting decent reviews. It's, again, Golden Hour felt a little bit like lightning in a bottle, but she's definitely proving that she has the chops to have a long career of making great music, and it's not just confused because, same trailer, different park is also brilliant. So, she's always been brilliant. We don't need this to remind us. But this is the sound that Kacey fits so well in. So what are your thoughts? What are your favorites, least favorite? Like I said, I think Moving Out, Nothing to Be Scared of, Give or Take Her, sonically they're not my favorite, but I support. Sway would probably be my least favorite. What are yours? And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Give this a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you all in my next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.